All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Next on the Power. So this video is going to be Mr. Olympia winners that lost their gains after retiring from bodybuilding, whether it was due to age, illness, or injury. These are bodybuilders that simply were not able to maintain their physiques or really anything reminiscent of the physiques that they had of old. So I did a video similar to this, and the other video was Olympia winners that were able to keep their gains after retiring. So those were all the guys that kind of maintained their physiques through the years. And in many of those cases, those Olympia winners were guys that maintained their physiques for 3 decades plus, well into their late 60s and 70s. So these are going to be guys that are younger than that, that were not able to keep their physiques. So number one on that list is going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger was a 7-time Mr. Olympia, winning from 1970 to 1975, and also winning when he made his comeback in 1980. So after 1980 would be what we're focusing on for Arnold keeping his gains. So as we know, Arnold had a very successful career in Hollywood, starring in movies like Terminator, Predator, and Commando throughout the 80s, and other movies like Total Recall and True Lies throughout the 90s. And I think for most of that time, maybe the 80s until the mid to late 90s, he did a pretty good job of keeping up his physique. So maybe a decade and a half after his last Olympia win. So keep in mind, in the other video, the guys that kept their physiques were guys that were able to maintain their physiques 4 decades plus after winning their last Olympia. So I would say it was in the early 2000s when Arnold was in his late 50s and early 60s where we really saw him start to lose his physique, to the point where it really became nothing even close or nothing even similar to what it was back when he was winning Olympias. Now, we can't really put too much blame on this because Arnold's physique started to go in his late 50s. And like I mentioned before, there were several Olympia winners that were able to keep their physiques into their 70s, including guys like Larry Scott and Frank Zane. Not to mention that Arnold has more money and more means to maintain a healthy lifestyle and healthy physique than probably any of the other Mr. Olympias of all time. Arnold is probably the richest out of all of them. And again, Arnold is currently 70 years old. Now, next on the list, we have a bodybuilder by the name of Chris Dickerson. So Chris Dickerson won the 1982 Mr. Olympia, and his final Olympia appearance would be in 1984. He would make a brief comeback at the 1994 Masters Olympia to win the 50-plus division. But after that 1994 Masters Olympia, if you had ran into Chris Dickerson, you probably wouldn't have even known he was ever a pro bodybuilder. Now, I was able to come across a few photos of Chris Dickerson at expos recently over the years, but the most recent photos of Chris Dickerson are from the 2014 Muscle Beach Hall of Fame induction ceremony, where he was 74 years old, and he is currently 78 years old today. So finally on this list, I'm sure a lot of you guys know who the next name is going to be, and that is Ronnie Coleman. Now, Ronnie Coleman is arguably one of the greatest Mr. Olympias of all time, winning a record 8 Mr. Olympia competitions. He is arguably one of the biggest, one of the freakiest, and one of the most impressive Mr. Olympia winners of all time. He is also one of the strongest Mr. Olympias of all time, known for his heavy-duty training style, training like a power lifter in most cases, squatting 800 pounds, deadlifting 800 pounds, bench pressing and dumbbell pressing like 200-pound dumbbells. Ronnie Coleman was known for being a strong bodybuilder. But training that hard and heavy did not come without a cost. Now, Ronnie Coleman would win the Mr. Olympia from 1998 to 2005, and he would also compete in the 2006 and 2007 Mr. Olympias, placing second in 2006 and then placing fourth in 2007. So his last Olympia appearance was just over a decade ago. So I think of the 3 Mr. Olympias that we mentioned in this video, Ronnie Coleman probably had the quickest deceleration in terms of his physique, going from this, massive Mr. Olympia winner 8 times to quickly down to the size where he is now and almost unable to walk. Now, Ronnie Coleman, as I said before, was known for training hard and heavy, and like I said, this did not come without a cost. So after retiring from bodybuilding, Ronnie Coleman has faced a countless number of injuries, major surgeries on his back, on his hips, you name it, and the result of that has left us with a significantly downsized Ronnie Coleman, and almost an immobile version of Ronnie Coleman. You often see Ronnie Coleman walking with a walker or walking with some sort of cane, or even in some cases taking a wheelchair. So unfortunately, I think Ronnie Coleman is the most extreme example of the cost of bodybuilding and what it takes to be a Mr. Olympia winner. To be an 8-time Mr. Olympia winner, to be one of the greatest and freakiest physiques of all time, there is a cost that is associated with that, and Ronnie Coleman is a prime example of that. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are there any Mr. Olympias that you think I missed that have lost all their gains? Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.